now, to close the first day of the Montreal Climate Security Summit, we are very honored and humbled to receive Dr. Svitlana Krakovska, head of the Laboratory of Applied Climatology of the Ukrainian Hydrometeorological Institute of the State Emergency Service and National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine. We are extremely grateful for Dr. Krakovska for making the very complex trip from Kyiv and for continuing to promote key scientific knowledge and to share her experience in those very difficult times. Dr. Svitlana Krakovska is a Ukrainian climate scientist recognized internationally for linking science with urgent global action. She was named by Nature as amongst the 10 people who helped shape science in 2022, highlighting her role as head of Ukraine's delegation to the IPCC during the onset of Russia's full-scale invasion. Dr. Krakovska holds a PhD in geophysics and has over 30 years of expertise in meteorology, climate modeling, and adaptation. She has served since 2013 as Ukraine's vice national focal point of the IPCC. In the 6th assessment cycle, she was review editor of the 1.5 degree special report, contributing author of the summary for policymakers, and lead author of several Working Group 1 products. She currently serves on the UN Task Force Expert Group on Net Zero and the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, Science Policy Interface. In April 2025, Dr. Svitlana Krakovska was elected to the US National Academy of Sciences as an international member. She is the first and only scientist living and working in Ukraine to hold this distinction. Dr. Krakovska, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for such kind introduction, and actually I'm really very thankful to organizers for inviting me, that I have this opportunity to speak on this very important summit. So actually I really worry because yeah, it's my first time in such audience with so renowned people. So let me start. So, Excellencies, colleagues, and friends, it's indeed both for me honor and responsibility to address you here at this crucial summit where climate and security meet. We are gathered here in Montreal, the city of bridges, resilience and history, to build bridges across nations, across sectors, and across generations. We gather at a moment where the boundaries between environment, geopolitics, and human security dissolving. What was once discussed in different rooms, climate assessment, or military operations, or humanitarian relief, now we come all together and discuss all together. And I speak here from Ukraine. Of course, I understand why I am here. Unfortunately, my country on the front line for both. It's for climate change and for security reasons. And it's pretty clear that Ukraine now, it's like proving ground for many technologies. We were discussing today, it's in our session, in this regional part. And at the same time, we are on the front line for climate change as well. So I will speak here, and unfortunately, this situation actually not an isolated case. I mean, country which in the war and under the climate change. It is a preview of risk many nations will face if we do not change course. Today I will share what we have seen, what we have experienced, and what it teaches us about climate and security, and what I believe we must do together to break cycles of destruction and build resilience. Well, first of all, let me speak from the perspective of science. So can I change slide? Yeah. Well, here I just introduce Working Group 1 report, and I invite you to go deeper actually in the achievements of this working group. And in the next slide, I want actually to see these graphs, which clearly shows flow from the emissions to concentration and to temperature, global temperature. And here, where sixth assessment report actually shows us this global carbon budget, which was estimated as 500 gigatons at 2020. And what I want to, and what I usually to show for public, so the first curve actually shows our human history with all economical crises and with rising and bending actually this curve after the Second World War. You can see in the late 40s how it goes up. And with concentration, it goes in 60s, in fact. So 20 years later. So climate system is so inertial that can, it, not now, but at that time, actually, 20 years later. And when we go for temperatures, again, 20 years later, we see those cycles, 60-year cycles, which didn't go at 2000, didn't go down the temperature, global temperature, but went up. Well, this global carbon budget, it shows 50% probability to stay within 1.5 degrees. If you go to the next slide, yeah, here. So this is very recent, research. You can go with a QR code and just see how this global carbon budget was eaten and depleted during last 3 years. In fact, in 3 years, if we go to the next slide, we will see that this carbon budget depleted by 3/4, almost 3/4, 74%. It's a lot. We definitely not in the right way. So now we have 130 gigatons, and every ton of this CO2 we emit reduces our margin for avoiding the worst consequences of warming. Every delay in decarbonization increases the likelihood of extreme weather, of sea level rise, and prolonged droughts, all factors that actually worsen humanitarian crisis and feed instability. From a security perspective, the carbon budget is nothing less than a resource constraint for peaceful social functioning. When the budget is consumed, options narrow. We must act while we still can. Well, let's go to the other. So here, actually, I want just to say about this fossil fuel war. So that's how I name this war, because of the roots. It's the common roots of climate change and Russian aggression on Ukraine. And it was on the panel session, which was at the beginning of the full-scale invasion. Can we? Yeah. So there were few, not few actually, many publications which showed this fossil fuel war in the media, and in Nature. Can we go? I cannot. Yeah. So again, I was on the Nature. No, for many scientists to publish something in Nature, it's achievement. But this achievement was, for me, very painful, in fact. And please, next. yeah, it's about how I got to this top 10 people. And please, few times more. Yeah. So, I mean, my story was like voice for Ukraine. In fact, I believe that my voice not only for Ukraine, but actually this voice for all humanity, because if we will cut our dependency on fossil fuel, every nation will win. But at that time, God actually knows. I didn't want such recognition, but I got it with a very big price for my country. And now I'm here just to share again the truth and to share maybe this truth which is painful, in fact. Yeah, so we go to the next slide, which is indeed, I believe, could be painful. It's about money. It's about money which Russia takes from other countries. And I made this, if we can go further. Yeah, I made it today morning, actually, these screenshots from this web page, where you can see how all these numbers changing. Actually, every second, 6,000 euros goes to Russia. Every second. And all those money actually goes, to produce weapons against my country. And according to this estimation of this Center for Research on Energy and Clean Air, so it's since February 2022, over 955 billions of euros, this revenue from fossil fuel exports. And European Union, unfortunately, these countries purchased for more than 214 billion euros of this export. Every barrel sold, every cubic meter of gas delivered, translated into more destructive capacity on the battlefield and more suffering of my people. That is why energy transition is not just an environmental policy, it is security policy. Now we go actually to other research. And of course, war can be measured in lost lives, in lost cities, in lost territories. But actually, we can measure it in carbon, in impact on our, again, common climate system, in our common carbon budget. And this is research which was released today, and I'm one of us, together with Leonard, of this research. And what we found here, that 3 years of this full-scale invasion actually cost our common carbon budget 230, almost 37 million of tons of CO2 equivalent. How much is it? We can compare with annual emissions of 4 European countries, such as Czech Republic, Austria, Hungary, and Slovak. So it's a lot, in fact. It's a lot. And this is additional emissions from military operations, which the biggest share, if we go with some animation, you will see exact numbers which goes for all those sectors. If we go further, my part of this job actually was about landscape fires and attribution to the Russian aggression. And of course, that Ukraine is a food basket. And here, okay, I wanted to say that actually over 90% of all these landscape fires attributed to the war. But the most, actually, one of we wanted to show in this report, it's about civil aviation. And civil aviation, if we go just one click back, you will see that Ukraine is free of civil aviation. That what we have, so it's just spot in civil aviation, and it's and this rerouting actually cost again money. And if we speak about about security, about military operations. So just try to imagine how much emissions it cost, actually, those military operations. And next, please click. So here you see what was just before I came here. So it's my night in Ukraine. So how many? It's hundreds of drones over my country, which actually goes to energy infrastructure at the moment. Okay, and we go further. And what I want to present here, actually, it's slides I took from Greenpeace in Ukraine, which prepared those slides for other meetings, but I believe it's really very relevant. And today we were discussing actually about nuclear, and nuclear is a weapon. If we go with some clicks, you will see those nuclear power stations in Ukraine, which were occupied first, so it's Chernobyl, and Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, which still occupied. And another power plant which operating now, it's in South Ukraine, where so Russians wanted actually to take it, but with a lot of efforts, Ukrainians withstand there. So just to show how vulnerable actually nuclear power stations, especially those big ones. They were not designed for such full-scale invasion. If we go next slide, so it's about ecocide, in fact. Ecocide on Kakhovka Dam, which actually in this Kakhovka watershed provided cooling for the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. On 6/06 of 2023, there was a big explosion, and over 18 cubic kilometers of water just blown out of this water reservoir. It's a huge disaster. It's a pure ecocide because it was made by a human. It's human-made disaster. It is not climate change, but it could be somehow just extrapolated, that it could happen in other regions due to climate change as well, like in Himalaya, for example. Well, what we see here, so Ukraine actually lost irrigation system in this part of country. And due to loss of this irrigation system and due to this war in this part, over 10 million of people didn't have enough food because Ukraine is producer of food. So it's another actually intersection for food security here, water security, food security, and human security here. And if we speak about actually water, I can share with you one of my personal story, let's say, or imaging I had in very first hours of Russian full-scale invasion. I imagine actually all of us in one boat, I mean all nations in one boat, heading to a waterfall. So due to climate change, this river accelerates, so it became faster and faster. The most smart, intelligent people see the waterfall actually, and they start to speak to others. Look, there is danger. We see another bend, we need to row there. Let's do everything just to go there. But at the same time, one big guy just stood up and started to beat neighbors. So that was how it felt for me, at that time. So I see this waterfall, but this guy beating my country. So at that time, what I was saying to this climate organization, look, we need, of course, to calm down this big guy, because otherwise, all in danger. But you need to steer away from this waterfall. Anyway, row to this more safer bend. So, I mean, it was my vision about river, and this river you see, river can bring disaster to many nations in different ways. And when you don't have river, you don't have water, and it's about water scarcity. And when your river disappears hope actually, and it goes to security actually, different problems. Okay, we go further for other actually. Again, so it's about maneuvering capacity. And again, it's, may I have some water? Just this one? Ah, okay, I see, sorry. It's always take me very emotional. My very close friend actually was there rescuing those people and animals, so I know some stories how it was. So here you see that we lost actually this maneuvering capacities in loss of this dam as well, and you see those numbers. Okay, we can go for other slides. Yeah, so we were forced, to transfer from coal. So we made this coal phase out very quick, just because of Russian aggression. When I saw this destruction, actually, it's this power plant which generate power for Kyiv city, for my native city. Actually, it makes me two kind of feelings. From one point of view, I happy that we will not have this, and we can actually build, so we can go for energy transformation. But from other point of view, of course, not all can do it. Well, we go next slide, and here's the solution. In fact, so here's a solution which many different organizations provide for Ukraine, and we're really very thankful for this, because this is in Kyiv region where it was occupied, this region, and now we have this ambulatory with solar panels on the roof, so they can do their operation now. Again, we're really very thankful for this, and we want more. Please, next. Yeah, it's about resilience. It's about, again, solutions. So we were discussing today Ukraine as example. Yeah, we had solar farms, big solar farms, where 20% were destroyed, but other 80% still generated power. And again, we have these wind turbines. Again, one turbine destroyed, but other can generate. So it's decentralized generation. It's really solution. And I knew this. So please, next click. So it's me. Actually, it's me on, we installed on the roof on Christmas of 2022, because in summer I understood that war will not stop and we will not have power. So I decided to save, to save my family at least, so, and our neighbors. So we installed those panels on the roof of my building. And I should say that months ago we had actually a big explosion just over 100 meters, I guess, not more than 100 meters. And all this construction just moved. Not destroyed, but moved. 10 centimeters, but anyway. So it is still working. Well, and next slide. So I start actually to provide this as solution for many people in the world, and people were listening about this. So it's Bloomberg. Actually, it's other roof. It's more solar panels there. They provide more energy for the elevating system. So for especially vulnerable people, elder people and people, children. So they really were very happy to have these elevators running. So it was the same with me because we live on the last floor. Okay, and next. Yeah, that's what actually I was saying first, from my perspective, first time at the World Economic Forum. And the next slide. Again, I was watching those destructed buildings. I said, okay, you destroy our building, we will rebuild them. We will rebuild them better. We will be role model for the whole world how to make carbon neutral, actually, cities. But just leave our people, and we will do everything we can. So it was my message there, and I just want to briefly introduce this and go next. Yeah, so World Economic Forum, we heard today about those messages, and I pretty believe that you know about threats and risk in these two perspectives. But I wanted actually to show here, to add more. It's please two more clicks. It's another two reports which World Economic Forum produced very recently. And the most, for me, interesting, it's cost of inaction. So we speak a lot about money, but how to measure this cost of inaction. And if we go few next, again, so we all know about those Sustainable Development Goals. Of course, we want to live in 2030 achieving those goals, and few more clicks. Yeah, I'm supposed to make it by myself, but anyway, I just want to present these Sustainable Development Goals in other way. So we need this basis, actually. So basis is nature. Then we have society, and then we have economy. And there is no actual economy on that planet. And the last click here, just for you to see. Yes, please, another click, yeah. So, I mean, if we will do nothing, so where we will end? In the caves? Just telling those stories for our children. I wanted just to mention those threats, but today we heard a lot how they threaten not only civilian but military operations as well. It's definitely I will not speak on it a lot. Just to say about this very briefly. So we can say just no military force is immune to this reality, and preparedness for tomorrow's security challenges requires that armed forces incorporate climate risk into doctrine, training, basing decision, and logistics. So I will not say more because you know better how to do it actually in military environment. But if you go further, so here how we, I mean soldiers, and we as a society supported them, because we've had a lot of fundraising for those solar kits for our army. And if you click more, you will see again how our soldiers, how our this field hospitals actually survive due to these solar kits and this microgrids, in fact. So necessity has driven innovation in Ukraine, and when supply lines were strained and the refueling convoy became targets, units improvised. Small solar kits and portable renewable system began powering radios, drones, and communication devices. Soldiers used solar panels to keep critical electronics running when fuel was scarce or too dangerous to transport. Yeah, on national scale, we developed a system under pressure that have broader civilian utility. And I want just to say about our anti-raid warning and alert system, actually. So it's capable of notifying millions within minutes. So it's really what works for us with, you saw this map, so we have this in our actually phones. That same network and operational experience could inform climate early warning systems, rapid alerts for floods, for storm surge, for sudden dam failures, for heat waves. The technical capacity and institutional practice of moving information quickly across a population are assets we can translate into the climate domain. And this is lessons for militaries and for civilian agencies. Systems built to protect citizens in wartime can be adapted to protect them in peacetime hazards. Early warning saves lives. It is an area where collaboration between defense, emergency services, and climate scientists can produce outsized benefits. Well, I just want to come with maybe for some solutions, just briefly show them. We can go further. Yeah. So I put it actually in words because I understand that it's much easier maybe to read. So I came actually with 5 practical steps, I should say. So it's about accelerate global decarbonization as security priority, because we heard today a lot on it. So clean energy is not a luxury good. It is strategic asset. We actually were talking today in many actually sessions. So we need to integrate climate risk into defense planning. Again, it's what you know better. I mean, military people. So we need to protect and invest in water security. It's really where civilians and military operations we all will benefit with this. And if we go further, so we need to scale decentralized resilience for civilians and support this microgrids, household solar, community water system, and local early warning networks. And fifth, which is really about redirect finance and accountability. So this is where actually I want maybe to say more, because it's really what hurt me. Because I understand that, of course, we all want to be safe. We all want our defense system to be fully financed. But at the same time, we understand that all resources are limited. And when resources goes from adaptation and mitigation to defense, so it's really, tricky. It goes like vicious circle, in fact. And we need to find solution, actually, to go out of this vicious circle. I want actually to speak more on the role of international cooperation and the legal framework here, because breaking the cycle of conflict and climate damage requires really this international cooperation at scale. We need stronger rules and norms to protect critical infrastructure, especially water systems, in times of conflict. We also need mechanisms to account for and report conflict-related emissions, so that reconstruction is guided by low-carbon principles. Actually, peace is a climate policy, and ending hostiles reduces emissions and preserves the capacity of economies to invest in the low-carbon transition. At the same time, a credible commitment to rapid decarbonization reduces the strategic value of fossil fuels as a means of coercion. Well, and the next slide, I just wanted to show again this IPCC very famous picture on this climate resilient development, which shows different ways, and it shows actually where we already, we already lost these ways, and some shock events presented here on different pathways. Those shock events could be like COVID, or like war, Russian war, Ukraine, or some other conflicts, or some other big disasters. So this is really a very complex picture, and I really want you to go deeper in it, so you can learn a lot. So we speak about moral and strategic, actually, imperative today as well, and it is not merely a technical exercise. It is a moral imperative. The poorest and the most vulnerable communities have contributed least to the climate problem, and yet face the greatest risk. When conflict strips resources and damages infrastructure, it is those communities that suffer most. And we saw it during this wartime and during actually our refugees, who didn't have actually capacities even to leave occupied territories. From a strategic perspective, continuing down the path of fossil fuel dependence and failing to build resilient systems is to gamble with global stability. The cost of that gamble in human lives, in displacement, in lost trust between nations, are far greater than the cost of decisive action now. And if we go to the next slide a few times, please. So it's it's very first month, and there was my message at that time when I said that we will not surrender in Ukraine, and we are still not surrendering Ukraine. And we really hope that world will not surrender to build this climate resilient future. And at the end, actually, at closing, I want to say that, of course, we must defend those under attack. We must provide the means to stop aggression and to protect civilians. At the same time, we must accelerate the transition away from fossil fuels, protect water systems, and invest in resilient infrastructure and early warning system. We must break the vicious circle. We must close the sky where needed over conflict areas. We must, I hope, provide the means to stop violence and keep rowing faster, smarter, and towards a safer channel. We all in the same boat. We must steer away from the waterfall. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Krakovska, for providing this final keynote. I think that's the perfect way to end this day and connect climate, environment, and security after a session talking about regional challenges. I think that's just case in point of how although the discourse about climate change has shifted, it becomes all the more relevant. It's still all the more relevant to defense talks and to the alliance. So I think that's the strongest argument we could have received. Thank you.